summer in Texas, and that means it's time to eat fruit, or at least fruit flavored desserts. Thanks for joining me today on Susan's Cozy Kitchen. I am making a Sundrop cake. Now, y'all know I am all about making things from scratch, totally homemade as much as possible. But there are times that maybe you don't have the time to go completely homemade on something. It's just really good when you use a cake mix and some instant pie filling and a soda. How easy is that? Okay, I know I'm not being true to my southern roots. I didn't call it a Coke. When I'm off camera, I do. I admit it. I totally live up to that. Would you like a Coke, and what kind? Guilty, not ashamed. I like to do this with Sundrop, and it is my favorite because I live in Texas, and the part of Texas I live in, you cannot find these. Every now and then my local HEB, which is my local grocery store, will have them. And I think they order them once a summer. They get one small shipment in, and when they're gone until the next year. I have to go all the way to Tennessee to get my Sundrop, so it takes a while, and so that's why this is so special to me, and that's why it's one of my favorites, because I don't get tired of it because I only get it once a year. Now that I've talked about it totally too much, let's start making the cake. The first thing to do is what I've already done, and that is to preheat the oven, and it just beeped telling me that it's at 350, so it's going to start getting hot here in the kitchen in a minute. Let's get busy putting this together. So the oven has preheated to 350. I have buttered with real butter my bundt pan. You can use shortening flour, spray oil, the spray with the flour in it, whatever you like to use to grease your pan so that the cake doesn't stick is what you should do in this. Now, this is going to go so fast and easy, you're just going to love it. This is one boxed lemon cake mix. So just dump that in here. All right. This is a, I've got to check the size. This is a 3.4 ounce package of instant lemon pudding. So you want the instant, not the cook and serve. So one small box of instant lemon pudding, 3 lightly beaten eggs, 3/4 cup of oil, and I use vegetable oil. You can use corn oil, canola, whatever, just a light cooking oil. 12 ounces of Sundrop, and that's 1.5 ounces. Yes, 12 ounces is one. So 12 ounces or 1.5 cups of Sundrop. And then the cook gets to drink the rest. And then I like to add a teaspoon of vanilla flavoring. And just 1 teaspoon of I said flavoring, really vanilla extract is what you want to use. So there's my 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, now beaters are in. I'm plugging it in now. And remember, that is always a safety thing. You never want to plug it in and then put your beaters in, because if you've accidentally turned it on, there could be a shock, whatever. Beaters in, then plug in. Now I'm just going to turn this on and mix it until it is thoroughly mixed. So probably 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. I don't really time it. I go by feel. You know, after making so many cakes, I just sort of know when it's finished. But it's gonna be a good 1.5 minutes, about 2 minutes, until it's really well mixed. So I started on low just to get everything mixing together. I probably mix it on low for about 30 seconds. And then I'm going to move it up to medium now. Okay, I did that maybe a minute and a half, maybe a little bit longer, not an excessive amount. I let it get a little bit thick. It started getting bubbly as it was mixing together, and that's when I really like to let it stop. You can kind of see some of the bubbles. It's nice and thick. It's got some air bubbles in it, and that will help it to be a nice, moist and light cake. It's going to pour the batter in, try to get it nice and even around there. Scrape it out. And now into the oven it goes for about 40 minutes. Okay, the timer was just about to go off. It smelled so great. I went ahead and came in. I did the toothpick test. It's pulling away from the sides. The toothpick came out clean. It is done. I will let it sit here for 10 minutes and to start cooling down before I flip it out of the bundt pan. So while we're waiting on the cake to cool down, let me remind you that, as always, the full recipe, tips, tricks, anything I think you might want or need to know will be in the description box below. If you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a big thumbs up. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you find out every time I upload a new video to YouTube. Okay, there's the timer. It has cooled for 10 minutes. So now we're going to flip it onto the cake platter. And I just put the platter down over that as best I can. It's not too hot, so I'm not going to need hot pads. And you just 1, 2, 3, flip. And it slides out. And there it is, perfectly placed on the platter. Doesn't that look absolutely delicious? It's a perfect crumb on the outside. The inside is going to be moist and flavorful and have that wonderful Sundrop flavoring in it also. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is going to dust it with some confectioner's sugar. Throw a little light dusting all across it, and I think that's going to make it absolutely delicious. There we go. Alright, the cake is still nice and warm. I hope it doesn't come to bits when I cut into it, but I just can't wait another moment to have a bite. So here we are. Look at that color. Isn't that beautiful? So nice and bright yellow, just like Sundrop, and it looks like a beautiful piece of sun on your plate. And let's see how it turned out. Wow. I know people hate the word moist, but there's just no other way to describe it. It's light, it's flavorful, it is everything that you want a summer bundt cake to be. Y'all, I'm sorry, I just recorded a whole section of eating some of it and telling you all about it and giving you a bunch of information, and my mic battery died and it didn't record any of that. I used a perfectly moist cake mix and did not pay attention to the directions on the back of that. It actually calls for a little bit less oil than most of the cake mixes seem to call for. And because of that, my cake turned out just a little bit oily. It's not bad, but I could have probably cut the oil down to about a half cup from the 3/4 of a cup. So if you want to cut the oil down, by all means do so. I think you'll be happy with the results. If you don't like it, if it's a little bit too dry, up the oil. You know, that's a simple one for the next time you make the cake. All of that being said, this is a great recipe, great cake. I love it. I hope you do too. So thanks for joining me in the kitchen today. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. God bless.